Starting in the mid-19th century, the United States saw wave after wave of immigrants looking for work and better opportunities in America, and a large portion of these immigrants came from China. Millions of Chinese people were starving as a result of a huge famine that devastated China, and these people were looking for any and every way to survive. Meanwhile, the United States was in the middle of the gold rush, and the appeal of striking it rich was just too much for these Chinese to turn down. Although some of these immigrants did work mining gold, many others found jobs in the agricultural field, no pun intended, and in cheap factory labor. The construction of the Transcontinental Railroad also provided many jobs for Chinese laborers, and by 1870, Chinese made up 25% of the labor force in California, which is quite a bit. At first, Chinese immigrants were tolerated by Americans, but soon California saw decreasing amounts of gold, which led to competition among lower-class workers and the Chinese. Both economic and cultural tensions were on the rise, and in 1877, anti-Chinese riots broke out in San Francisco. Pressure grew to pass a bill banning Chinese immigration, but President Chester Arthur vetoed it because he thought it violated the terms of the 1868 Berlin Game Treaty with China, which guaranteed Chinese the right to immigration but not necessarily the right to naturalization. Finally, in 1882, President Chester Arthur passed the Chinese Exclusion Act, which suspended the entry of Chinese immigrants for 10 years but didn't ban it. The Chinese Exclusion Act was the first significant law that restricted immigration to the United States. One critic of the act was a Republican senator of Massachusetts, George Frisbee Hoar. He was an abolitionist and an anti-imperialist, and he described the act as nothing less than the legalization of racial discrimination. Supporters of the act included labor unions like the Knights of Labor. They believed industrialists used Chinese laborers as a wedge to keep wages low. Democrats, led by supporters in the West, advocated for the exclusion of Chinese immigrants, and they saw the passing of the act as a victory. In 1888, Congress took the act a step further and passed the Scott Act, which prohibited re-entry into the United States after a visit to China, and in 1902, Congress passed the Geary Act, which extended the exclusion for 10 more years, as well as expanding the borders of the law to Hawaii and the Philippines. The Chinese Exclusion Act wasn't officially repealed until 1943, and only because China was a strong ally against Japan in World War II. Yeah, not our finest moment. So that was the Chinese Exclusion Act in about 3 minutes. We hope this helped you understand it just a little bit better.